Could you come closer to me? I just can't resist you. I'm giving up. I'm giving up.
Tonight is the night for Hookah and Stories. I posted a meme.
When you text your wife, one last orbit, and leave casino 6 hours and 6 buy-ins later.
And a friend of mine immediately started recording a voice message. And you know, when Mr. Idiotpoker starts recording a voice message, it's gonna be good. With his kind permission, I share the story with you. And I'm gonna listen to it and laugh with you one more time. Laugh and smoke.
So we used to play in this home game that was all the club owners and bartenders and managers and DJs, everyone that worked in nightlife. And the game would start at 2 a.m. after all the bars closed, and it would go like all night lots of times and even into the next day. And we had one guy who played in the game. He owned one of the bars in town. And one particular night, the game went all night, and it was still the next morning and we were playing. And that particular morning, he was supposed to meet up with his fiance to go to the courthouse to get their marriage license to make it official that they were going to be husband and wife. So it gets to the point where he's supposed to leave to go meet her, and he doesn't meet her. He's just still playing cards. He just wants to keep playing cards. And then at some point, she starts texting him. She's like, "Where are you?" And he texts her back that he's parking at the courthouse, even though he's still playing in the game and not even leaving. So you would think that he'd be like, shoot, and like race out the door to go meet her. But no, he says he's parking, but then he still just like keeps playing. So like more time goes by. She's texting him like, "Where are you? I don't see you." And he's like, "I'm here. I'm looking for you." Like texting her, but he's just still playing poker. So more time passes, and at some point, me and him get in a big hand. And I trap him. I get all the money in on the turn. He's drawing to like almost no outs. I forget if he had like just a couple outs or something. And she walks in, like she storms into the house. I guess she figured out that he's a big enough degenerate that he's telling her that he's there at the courthouse while he's still playing the game. So she shows up. And she's like, walks up, stands behind him. He gets all the money in, like, drawing almost dead. And then he just spears whatever card he needs and wins the whole pot.
I would call that excessive good fortune.
This is like a huge pot, like a couple grand or something, which this was a 1-2 game back in the day. And then he like stacks up his chips. And so she's expecting him, oh, he just won this huge hand. He's going to cash out and we're going to go get married. And he just keeps playing with her standing there. And she's like, "Let's go." And he's like, I'll tell you the line he said, but first let me give you some background. So we used to have a rule in that game that you have to call around. Like, you can't just leave without warning. Like, you can't hit and run. You have to call at least a round. Like, "Hey, I'm calling a round." So he wins that huge pot, and his wife is like, "Let's go." And he's like, "Honey, I can't. I have to call a round." Obviously, he could have called a round at any point. Obviously, it's a special circumstance that he's supposed to be going to get married. So, like, we all would have understood. Even though he just put a crippling beat on me, like, he's clearly going to be in huge trouble with this girl, I would think, for not showing up on time to marry her and lying and saying he was there.
The couple did get married. Obviously, the lady knew what she was getting herself into, and she was willing to go for it for all the good and the bad. At least she knew, right? Jokes and smokes aside, I want to make one very serious disclaimer. I think that this story should not illustrate how to treat anybody in your life as a poker player, and it should not be an example of what you should be willing to accept from a poker player. I mean, all's well that ends well, but we should definitely do better because we can. It's gonna be it for today. If you have a funny story of yours, poker related one, that you're willing to share, DM me and be my guest.